It's the dead of winter. The air is so still, it feels like even the trees are holding their breath. Somewhere in the ancient north, before clocks, before cathedrals, before even the idea of history, a man walks alone through the snow. His robe is wool, his staff is ashwood, his breath fogs in the cold morning light. He's a druid, a walker between worlds, a speaker for stones, spirits, and stars. He's not walking around anything you'd recognize. No village, no fire, no comfort. He walks because this is what the old ways demand. Because winter is not the death of the world, but it's turning inward. And in this season of cold and silence, it is time for communion. So come with him, walk slow, listen deeply, and learn what it means to live at the edge of the visible world. You begin before dawn. The stars are still out, sharp, white pinpricks in a sky of onyx. Frost crusts the mosses, twigs snap underfoot. Breath coils like ghosts in the air. Every sound is loud in the winter forest because everything else is quiet. No birds, no insects, no running water, just you. And the trees, massive oaks, loom like black giants, their limbs bare and bone thin. You move between them like a shadow. Your steps are deliberate. You are not lost. Even though there is no path, the map you follow is older than ink. It's held in memory, passed from druid to druid, shaped by stories, stars, and signs. There is a particular kind of silence in winter woods, not the absence of noise, but the presence of attention. The forest is listening. You know this because you can feel it, not in your ears, but in your ribs, the way a deer knows it is being watched. As a druid, you spent your life learning to listen back. So you pause. You press one hand to the bark of a pine, the other to your chest. Your heartbeat is slow, strong. You whisper the old words, not in Latin, not in English, but in the language of breath and leaf. A tongue that was never written down. You ask permission to pass. There is no answer, not in words, but a single snowflake lands on your eyelash. You take that as a yes. The forest accepts you. For now. So you keep walking. Your destination is not a temple. It's a place the Romans never found. A hidden groove deep in the hills, where the ground opens and the light changes, and the air tastes like metal and memory. You will reach it by nightfall, but the walk is the ritual. every step matters, because the true communion begins before you arrive. You glance at the sky. The moon is setting pale and fat over the horizon. Its shape tonight is important. You note it. Half waning, a sign of release. Everything in nature speaks. If you know how to listen, that is what your life has been for. Learning to read signs. Your staff thuds softly against the frozen ground. Each footstep crunches, muffled under a heavy wool cloak. You carry no weapons, but you are not defenseless. Not because of magic, not like in the stories, but because you have knowledge of herbs that blister and berries that bind, of where the wolves sleep and how the wind turns. You have walked this forest in spring, when everything sang, in summer when bees clouded the air, in autumn when the mushrooms rose like spirits from the dark soil. But winter is different. Winter is the season of truth, of bones without flesh, of trees without leaves, of gods without masks. That is why you walk now, not for celebration, but for clarity. As the light finally begins to rise, a thin wash of grey-pink behind the trees, you come upon a stone, half buried, moss-covered, forgotten. You kneel beside it, brush the snow from its face. There are marks, ancient ones, barely visible. The script of your people. You trace the lines with a gloved finger, 3 notches, 1 long stroke. It means birch, the tree of beginnings, the first letter, the first step. You smile because you know this is not a coincidence. Nothing in the old ways ever is. You rise from the stone and continue walking. The snow deepens as you climb, just enough to cover the undergrowth. It crunches beneath your boots, soft and slow. There are no trails here, only memory, and instinct, and trust. Because that's what a druid carries most of all. Not tools, not weapons, not scrolls or relics, but trust. In the land, in the patterns, in the rhythm of life and death. You carry other things too, of course. A pouch of mistletoe harvested at solstice. A small blade carved from bone. Dried mushrooms with caps the color of rust. A spool of red thread. A scrape of wolf fur. None of these are magical in themselves, but they are symbols. And symbols are the tools of transformation. Your ancestors knew this. They didn't need temples. They had rivers. They didn't need scripture. They had the seasons. To be a druid is to carry what cannot be seen, and what cannot be spoken plainly, because the old truths are never loud. They whisper, and you spent your life learning to hear them. You pause beside a fallen log. Runes have carved into its bark, old ones, fading, not by you, but by someone like you, perhaps decades ago, perhaps longer. It is a reminder. You are not the first, nor the last. Every druid walks this path alone, but none walk it only for themselves. You are a link, a vessel between sky and soil, between ancestors and descendants. It is not a role of power, it is a role of service. And that service is heaviest in winter, because winter is when people fear, when food runs low, when warmth is fleeting, when death walks closer to the fire. They come to you in those moments, the villagers, the shepherds, the mothers clutching sick children, the fathers who bury sons beneath frozen earth. They don't come to you for answers. They come for meaning. Why did the fire fail? Why did the cow die on the night of frost? Why did the child not wake? And you must listen, not just with your ears, but with your body, with your presence. You don't offer false promises. You don't claim to know, but you hold their grief in your chest like a lantern. And sometimes that's enough. You remember one such night, a woman, gray-haired and shaken, had come to your circle with a bowl of ashes. Her husband had died in the snow. She said she heard him call her name the night after he passed. Was it real? Was it him? You did not say yes. You did not say no. You burned rowan wood. You scattered seeds in the snow. You told her this. The dead does not always go far, especially in winter, especially when we still speak their names. She wept. She smiled. She left you honey and a feather. You never saw her again. But sometimes, when the wind shifts through the trees, you still hear her name. You do not carry gold. You carry memory, not yours, but everyone's. You carry the sorrow of this land, and its beauty too. The laughter of fox cubs in spring, the howl of wolves when the moon turns full, the silent blooming of mushrooms after rain. These things live inside you now, because you've made yourself a vessel must be empty to hold. So you let go of ego. You let go of comfort. You let go of name, of pride, of permanence. You become a walker. In winter, because winter strips away illusion, reveals the bones beneath the flesh, reveals what endures. You're walking not to survive the cold, but to meet it, to let it teach you. Because the forest in winter does not lie. It has no masks, no distractions, only truth. And truth is the oldest god of all. You descend into a shallow valley. Here the wind stills, caught by the slopes and brambles. The snow is thinner beneath the canopy. Your breath feels warmer, though the temperature hasn't changed. It's not just the landscape that shifts. It's the presence. You feel it before you see it. A heaviness in the chest. A stillness in the mind. As if something old is watching. Not hostile, but alert. The forest has eyes. Not the kind you can see, but the kind that see you. You know what this means. You are approaching a liminal space. At the edge of the valley sits a cluster of moss-covered stones. They are arranged in no particular pattern, but they are not random. One is upright, taller than you. One is flat, like a table. The rest form a low circle, broken in places by roots and time. This is not a rune. This is not a monument. This is a presence. A place where the veil is thin. You step inside the circle and bow your head. Not because you were taught to, but because your body knows. These stones have watched generations come and go. They have felt fire and blood and offerings left in silence. They remember what people forget. You kneel at the center and place both hands on the flat stone. It is cold. It is alive. Not in the way an animal is alive, but in the way mountains are. Slow, deep, beyond language. You close your eyes and you listen. The silence becomes something else here. Not absence, resonance, a low hum in your bones, a pressure in your skull. Not painful, but undeniable. This is the voice of the land, not speaking to you exactly, but speaking through you. You leave the stones behind. The stream murmurs as you pass, winding off into frost-laced shadows. Above, the sky brightens just slightly, though the sun remains hidden behind a veil of gray. You know what lies ahead. The oak. Not just an oak, but the oak. It stands alone at the crest of a nearby ridge. Massive, gnarled, and older than stories. You have visited it every season, left offerings beneath its roots, asked questions in its shade, waded through storms in its branches. But winter is the most sacred time to approach, because in winter, the oak speaks plainly. It has nothing to hide. The path to the ridge is steep. Your breath fogs heavier now. Your thighs ache. Your staff sinks deep into snow as you climb. But you don't rush. This is part of it. The strain, the sweat, the presence in your limbs. Too many think spirituality means escape. But in the old ways, the body is the altar. Pain is part of the ritual. By the time you reach the crest, your breath becomes hard. Your fingers sting, and yet you feel more alive than ever. The oak greets you like a monolith. Its trunk is broad enough to house a family. Its branches reach like ribs into the sky. Even leafless, it feels full, like it's holding something vast and unseen. You approach slowly, bow your head, and kneel. You place one hand on the bark, rough, thick, pulsing faintly with life beneath the frost. You close your eyes. In Druidic tradition, the oak is not just a tree. It's axis mundi, the world axis. Its roots reach the underworld. Its branches touch the stars. And its trunk connects all things between. It is strength. It is wisdom. It is endurance through time. To kneel at the oak is not to worship it. It is to align yourself with its principles. You remove a pouch from your cloak. Inside, 3 dried berries of hawthorn, a silver coin blackened by age, and a feather from the wing of a bird who died in flight. These are not treasures. They are meanings. You bury them carefully among the roots. You whisper, for stillness, for seeing, for what stands in winter. The wind moves through the branches like breath. And for a moment, just a moment, you feel the oak respond. Not in words, in knowing. This is how the Druids practiced. Not with sermons, but with presence. Not with laws, but with listening. To sit beneath a tree in winter and feel it speak. This is communion. This is knowledge the Romans could not understand, which is why they feared it. They saw only silence and called it savagery. But you know silence is where the true voices live. And the oak holds the oldest voice of all. You sit with the tree for a while, not thinking, not meditating, just being. A squirrel scampers past, startled by your stillness. It stops, watches you, then vanishes into the snow. You smile, because that's a part of the teaching too. Even in the sacred, life continues. No fanfare, no perfection, just presence. Before you leave, you stand and touch the bark one last time. You don't ask for anything. You only offer this tonight. May I remember what you remember. Then you turn and begin the descent. The light has shifted again. It is late afternoon now, though that means little in winter. The sun never fully rises. It only glances across the land, trailing gold across ice and bark like a tired priest swinging incense. You descend from the ridge in silence. The forest seems thinner here, more open. Your feet leave perfect impressions in the snow. The tread of your boots etched like runes across a white parchment. Each step matters. Each one is a letter in a language you were born to read. You pause by a clearing. Something has passed through recently. You kneel. Examine the tracks. Not deer. Too narrow. Not fox. The stride is wrong. Raven? Yes. Two scents of prints, one from feet, one from wings, where it landed and pushed off again. You smile. Raven tracks in the snow are like words in the sky. Not everyone can read them, but to you, they say, the sky has touched the ground here. And that matters. Because in Druidic practice, signs are not coincidences. They are convergences. You take this one seriously. The air sharpens. Somewhere above a bird cries. Not raven this time, a thrush. It sings just 3 notes. Then silence. But that too is language. You listen closely, because birds don't sing in winter for beauty. They sing for warning, for longing, for memory. And memory, for a druid, is everything. You sit against a tree and let your eyes go soft. You listen not just to sounds, but to patterns. A chirp to the left, a rustle to the right, then nothing for 10 heartbeats. This is how the forest speaks, not in sentences, but in rhythms. And if you quiet your thoughts long enough, you begin to understand the grammar of snow. Snow has a sound, not falling, it's too quiet for that, but resting, settling, the way it absorbs noise. muffles movement, makes the world feel like it's holding its breath. You feel it now. A stillness so complete it's almost holy. You know why the ancients held the rite in silence? Because silence isn't empty. It's filled with waiting. From the pocket of your cloak, you draw out a small object, a bird's skull, clean and white, tied with twine. A gift from a friend who died last year, a fellow druid who walked the coast and read the tides like verses. You hold the skull in your palm and whisper, "I remember how you listened." Then you hang it gently on a branch. Let the wind move through its hollows. Let the birds see it, because birds remember too. They pass stories from one generation to the next, not in words, but in songs. A thrush today may carry the tune of a thrush 5 winters ago. And so even they belong to the great remembering. A sudden gust stirs the trees. Snow falls in a cascade from a high limb, sparkling in a shaft of amber light. You close your eyes and let it land on your face. It stings, then melts. This too is language. Not human, not divine, just earth speaking. And you, a listener, no more, no less. When you open your eyes again, the forest has changed, not in form, but in feeling. You are no longer walking through it. You are walking with it. Not an intruder, but an instrument. Like wind through a reed. Like bird call in a hollow branch. Like fire waiting in the belly of stone. You rise and walk. The light is fading fast now. Not the slow fade of summer, but the sudden hush of winter dusk, where golden turns grey in the span of a breath. You find the place by memory, a hollow surrounded by tall yew trees, their dark needles casting shadows even when the moon is high. The snow here is thinner, the ground softer. You've been here before, many times, but never the same way twice. This is where you will make the fire, not for warmth, for witnessing. You clear a circle with your staff, brushing aside snow in slow clockwise strokes. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. You draw the boundary not to keep anything out, but to mark that the space is different. A moment inside time. A breath held between worlds. You gather twigs and bark from the base of the yews. Just enough. No more. You break none from the tree itself. That would be disrespectful. The fire must be fed only what is freely given. You light it the old way, not flint, not steel, but by friction. Twine, spindle, breath, and patience. It takes time. Your hands burn with the cold. Your shoulders ache. But the moment it catches, the spark blossoms like a star. You feed it slowly. Speak to it. Take what I offer. Burn what must be seen. The flames rise, soft at first, then bold. The light flickers across your face. Your shadow dances on the trees. And you begin to remember. The chant is not one you learned in words. It came in a dream years ago, after sleeping beside a burial mound. You awoke with it on your lips. You never wrote it down. It is only sung here, in this groove, to this fire. You begin softly, a single note, then a hum, then the syllables. Ilioin Tanura Sitan Elai. The language has no translation, but you know what it means. It means, I see you, I remember you, I walk with you still. You chant again. This time stronger. The fire cracks. Something shifts. In the old traditions, fire is not a tool. It is a being, a mouth, a bridge, a devourer and revealer. You were taught that if your chant is pure and your silence deep, fire will show you what lies behind the veil. You close your eyes, sing once more. The chant flows through your body like breath. And when you open your eyes, you see them. Not spirits exactly, not people, not ghosts, but presences. Flickers in the smoke, forms in the flame. An old woman with eyes like coals. A deer with antlers branching into stars. A child holding a staff of light. None of them speak. They don't need to. Their presence says everything. We see you. We hear your song. We are not gone. Tears come to your eyes, not from sorrow, not from smoke, but from recognition. These are not visions. These are remembrances. You are not conjuring anything new. You are peeling back the veil to glimpse what has always been there. The chant fades from your lips. The fire crackles. The moment holds, then dissolves. You let the fire burn a little longer. Then, using snow and breath and ash, you extinguish it. Slowly, respectfully. Not because you fear it, but because even fire needs sleep. You scatter the ashes with your fingers. No trace remains. And that's how it should be. Because sacredness is not in permanence. It is in presence. The moon rises full now, And your walk is not over, but your steps will feel lighter because you no longer walk alone. You walk into the hollow just past midnight. The snow is deeper here, the wind louder, and the trees older. Some lean as if bowing, others stand like mourners. The air is thick with something unspoken. You have arrived. This is the place between. The thin place where the breath of the living brushes the cheek of the dead. Where the veil, never fully gone, is almost transparent. You don't speak here. No one does. Words are too heavy. Only silence can cross. There are stories, of course, of travelers who wandered into these woods and never came out, of people who returned but came back wrong. Eyes too wide, voices hollow, walking as if they carried something on their backs that no one could see. You know the stories are only half-truths, but half is more than enough. You pause beneath a split ash tree. From your pouch you draw a simple object, a ring of woven grass, bound last Samayan, dried now, fragile, but still whole. You place it on a branch, a signal, a key, and the wind answers. Your breath comes slower now, not from fear, but reverence. This is not a haunted place. It is a holy one. But holiness has weight. It does not flatter. It does not comfort. It demands honesty, the kind that strips the soul bare. You cross a stream, thin and frozen. Your reflection appears briefly in the eyes. It looks back at you, not quite your face, not quite a stranger's either. You do not flinch, because this is the part of the passage. To see yourself from outside. To remember that you are not just flesh, not just story, but shadow, echo, inheritance. You step over the ice and into the realm of the dead. There is no sudden shift, no veil parting, no trumpet call, only stillness. And then a sense of being watched. Not menacing, just known. The way a tree knows the wind, the way the sea knows the moon. You pass between two standing stones, half buried in snow. And just like that, you feel it. The weight of eyes, the presence of them. Your ancestors, not gathered in robes, not in rows, but in roots, in earth, in the cold that prickles your skin even through your cloak. You kneel. You do not ask for wisdom. You do not ask for signs. You only say, I carry what you carried. I walk because you walked. I am because you were. There is a silence that follows. Not empty, not passive, but full, deep, like the pause after a bell stops ringing. And in that pause, something changes in you. You feel lighter and heavier, both at once, as if something passed through your bones and left something behind. A memory not your own, a grief not from this life. You don't try to understand it. You don't name it. You just carry it. This is what a druid does. Not interpret, not translate, just hold. You reach the summit just as the stars blaze at their brightest. Above you, the sky is a dome of ink pierced with fire. The constellations wheel slowly, ancient and unmoved. You recognize them not by their names, but by their stories. That one is the hound who guards the other world. That one is the antlered stag who runs between seasons. That one is the spiral without beginning or end. You do not name them aloud. You don't have to. You carry them inside you, like breath, like blood. A single spiral etched into its face, barely visible now, beneath frost. You kneel beside it. You remove your glove. Place your bare palm against the frozen spiral. And you speak, not in voice, in thought. You say, "Show me not what I want. Show me what is, no matter how it cuts." The wind stills. Time folds, and your breath catches. Because this is the moment when the veil thins, not just between worlds, but between selves. You are no longer only who you are. You are who you have been, who you will be, who you could be if you let go of the lie. You descend the hill with your face to the east. The first grey hints of dawn stretch thin across the horizon. Not warm, not golden, but soft. Cold light, honest light. It does not promise comfort. It promises clarity. And after the night you have walked, that's enough. Your steps are slower now, not because of fatigue, but reverence. You are re-entering the world of the living, the world of bread and hunger, of chatter and firelight, of laughter and grief. And you must cross the threshold carefully, because what you carry is not just for you, it is for them, the ones who wait behind hearth and door, the one who forgot how to listen, the one who think winter in silence. Time passes, the snow melts, the trees bud, the sun rises higher, and people forget the weight of the longest night. But you do not, because something in you remains rooted in that winter walk. A silence beneath your eyes, a depth behind your ears. You are still the Druid. Even when you laugh, even when you sweep the floor, or hold a child, or gather firewood, the quiet you found beneath the stars, it lives in you now. And it speaks in moments. It speaks when you touch the earth with bare hands, when you wake before dawn and hear the world waiting to exhale, when someone weeps and you do not flinch, when a bird sings 3 notes in the bare trees and you understand them. It is not dramatic, it's not magic, it is presence. The long walk taught you something that cannot be written in books, that there is a language older than words, that there is a wisdom deeper than reason, that the sacred is not something far away. It is here, in cold fingers around a wooden staff, in the ache of legs after a climb, in a hush of a fire dying in snow. It is not what you walk through, it is how you walk through, with intention, with reverence, with memory. And maybe, just maybe, years from now, someone will ask, what was it like to be a druid? To walk alone through the winter forest? And maybe they'll expect stories of gods and spells and grand ceremonies. But you will only smile and say, it was quiet and cold and full. Because what remains of a druid in the frost is not myth. It is meaning, carried in silence, offered in stillness, passed on like a flame cupped between palms in the dark. So if you find yourself one winter night walking through snow with no clear path, listen, pause, breathe. The forest may not speak your language, but it remembers your name, and that is enough.